Now that's what I call a return. That game was a lot of fun to watch, as long as you only paid attention to Caitlin Clark and her teammates around her, and ignored everything else that happened in that game. I think that's just the MO for watching the WNBA. You know, Caitlin is so much fun to watch. Today was her most fun game of the year by far. That time off did her good. Stephanie White actually did a good job with the rotations, and also did a very good job coaching, because her coaching style was give Caitlin the ball when she's on the floor and let her cook, and cook she did. Obviously, there's a lot of ugly in the game too. The officiating was trash as normal. I was gonna go over a lot of the bad calls that were made, but I lost count. I mean, it's just pathetic. The amount of free throws New York Liberty shoot against the Fever and against everybody is pathetic. I mean, they sit there and just antagonize the other team. The referees do, with their blatant bias towards the Liberty, and they give Caitlin Clark a technical foul when she dares stand up for her teammates. Look, we're not calling for Caitlin to have a special whistle at all. She doesn't need one, and we don't want to see her given unfair advantages. We just want her to want it to be fair. Down the middle, it's never fair down the middle when the Liberty are involved. These officials are trash, and the overall structure of the league is trash. When Caitlin's there, it is fun. Today was so much fun. She was launching it at will from three. She was either given the green light or said, "Yeah, I'm Caitlin Clark. I'm going to be here. Y'all can either jump on board or not. And if you're not, they will get rid of you, whether you're the coach or the players." I don't know if she would do that or not, but I'd like to think she was given the green light by somebody, and she just went off, just nailing three after three after three. It was awesome. Show some of that mid-range game again. I like it. I want to see her do more of that, but launching those threes just opens up so much for everybody else. There's some stretches there where she was on the floor, and the Fever would actually increase their lead. And again, Caitlin sets the tone, spreads the floor, and it gives all these other people on the team room to work, like Kelsey Mitchell. I always kind of feel a little weird talking about her, just because I'm not very unbiased when it comes to her. I love her game. I love watching her play. I love her attitude and her swagger and her intensity. That one there where she just, at the end, kind of the dagger shot where she just crossed Natasha Cloud into oblivion and sunk a three. That was awesome. Supposedly one of the better defenders / pests of the league, and just brushed her off like it was nothing, drained a three. I love the way she just dives into traffic, so much shorter than everybody else there, and makes it work a lot of the time. Doesn't make it work a lot of the time too. I know her style needs to be dialed back a little bit for team success, but man, it's fun to watch. I really like watching her. And Leah Boston, Caitlin, in her interview at the end, really put it best. The pick and roll game between Caitlin Clark is the key to this offense. So when you, like the New York Liberty did today, and you go in there and you swarm them, you leave a lot of people open on the outside. And when that happens, it gives them room to shoot. And like I said, it just gives them a lot of room to operate. And that's the key. Spacing, creating space. And that's what that does. Aaliyah, I think she had 10 points, 10 rebounds, somewhere in there, like 5 assists. And even though she always gets the worst fouls ever. But you got to give her a ton of credit. Kelsey Mitchell just hit big shot after big shot. And like I said, it's just, when Caitlin's out there providing that space for her, she can really do that. With Caitlin, when Caitlin was gone all those games, and, that's a lot of this is on Stephanie White for not having a better plan. Starting to think I might have been just a little bit wrong about her. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. But she, just didn't have the spacing for it to play her game. And it was just kind of hurt the Fever more than it helped them, even though it was fun to watch. And but yeah, I love watching her play, and games like today where she can not only be fun to watch, but helpful to the team. That's pretty cool. And like I said, what a game back by Caitlin. Already has, I don't know how many times this is 30 plus points with 5 plus points and 5 plus rebounds. Her rebounding is like amazing for a point guard. I mean, she's getting another, I think she had like 8 rebounds again, 9 assists, and 30 something points. Um, I mean, you gotta. She really is the full package, the total package. She's got. She steals the ball. She gets about a block a game somewhere in there, which for a point guard's not bad at all. Um, that's just. She's really got it. She is really what's worth watching in the WNBA. And also, you got to give her teammates a ton of credit. Like I said, Aaliyah and Kelsey, I've talked about them ad nauseum. The Hollywood Blondes, Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham, they do an amazing job as well. They play their role amazingly. They go out there, they play tough defense, draw fouls when the refs actually can feel like calling fouls. That foul they called at the end on Breonna Stewart, I don't know which official made that call, but Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA office are probably going to have that official's house burned down. Don't be surprised if that actually happens, because you just don't call those fouls on New York Liberty players. You never do. And I'll get to that again in a second, but I want to give the Hollywood Blondes a lot of credit. They hit big shots, really seem to be in sync with Caitlin, especially Lexi. That year they've had together really showing off. Having her in the starting lineup is great, and giving Sophie big minutes is a good thing. The stat sheet doesn't really reflect their impact, kind of like Aaliyah Boston. The stat sheet's not going to reflect their impact. Natasha Howard, I thought had a good game as far as playing her role. I know her stat sheet's probably not going to show much at all. Seemed kind of invisible at times, but she was there, doing what she needed to do. And I think she's the right fit for this team. I really do. Happy to see her there. Sydney Colson hit some big shots too. Damaris Dantas, so glad to still have her from last year. I really fell in love with her last year and her game, and I'm glad to see her still out there doing good things and doing well. Like I said, and like I said, that's the blueprint for their night tonight. You really do have to look at that and say this is, the blueprint. Because you just let Caitlin, give her the green light, let her hit her shots, and that's just going to open everything else up. You might fall behind a little bit at first, but as long as they're not too bad, you'll be able to hit some big runs there once the floor space is out. And like I said, just very, very proud. That was a great team effort, and Caitlin is just so much fun to watch. I mean, as is Kelsey, as is Aaliyah, as are the Hollywood Blondes, but I just that was fun as long as you just pay attention to that. Unfortunately, it was also frustrating because you had to watch all the other stuff. First of all, the New York Liberty. I know I'm gonna sound like a hater and salty and all that, which I mean we won, so I don't know why I would be, but I'm just not that impressed by them. They're good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they suck. They're not the Chicago Sky or the Dallas Wings, but they just their championship last year was completely given to them by the refs. And they're so reliant on it. They take so many free throws. They get bailed out on every call. Breonna Stewart, I'm just not that impressed by. I know she's won a championship with Seattle. Now she's won one last year with New York, which comes with a huge asterisk. Sabrina Ionescu, she's good, but I don't know. I'm just not really that impressed by her. I know she got 30-something points, but you talk about 30 very unimpactful points. I mean, I guess a point's a point, but I mean, just... I feel like she was like the 7th or 8th most important player out there, and she scored the most points of anybody. Like I said, the stat sheet just doesn't always tell the tale. And I just feel like, she just... And of course, I mean, as far as entertainment value, nobody outside of the Fever have done or anything on that level. And that's a problem. They keep trying to, shove Asia down our throats with their commercials. If she left the league tomorrow, nobody would notice. I'm just going to say it. Nobody would notice except for whoever that weird person who's a fan of South Carolina, the University of South Carolina, good friends with Dawn Staley and Asia Wilson. By the way, University of South Carolina, you built statues to both Dawn Staley and Asia Wilson, and they are friends with that, whatever it is. So yeah, I hope you're proud of yourselves for that one. But yeah, it was just reffing incompetence to the max. I wish they'd do away with these challenges. They're useless. They take forever. They break up the flow of the game, which is not good to start with because of the play, because of the players. Man, these missed layups are just death to watch. It's tough, and they just got to find a way. I mean, like I said, maybe lowering the rim, maybe making the ball even smaller so they can actually rebound the ball and not bounce off their hands. I know their hands are a lot smaller than men's, which naturally, which is what it is, and it's that way for a reason in life. But I mean, they're going to have to, I think, make some more changes to make this league as a whole more palatable. Caitlin Clark is just that once in a million years unicorn that can come into this league and do well. WNBA is not in good shape. I'm going to say it again. They're not in good shape. 13 teams, and 12 of them are very much irrelevant, and the other one would be irrelevant if it wasn't for Caitlin. And got to get that fixed. Obviously, the Players Association puts a lot of pressure on them to be activists and to protect the activists like they do in Dallas with the power couple of Dejanay and Nalissa Smith, who I'm very glad we got rid of, and very glad to see them struggling and losing a lot because they deserve to lose a lot. Hate it for Paige Becker. She's doing her best, but hopefully she'll eventually wind up on a team where she doesn't have those two as teammates. But I mean, the league, the Players Association, and just the overall socialist mentality they have, where it's like, we're not getting paid enough to do this, even though the league doesn't make any money, and it shouldn't even exist, and they should have to be either going overseas or taking a normal job like the rest of us, to to exist and to be able to make any money off of playing professional basketball in America. But it is what it is, and that's just how it is for the WNBA. You have to try to keep tunnel vision on Caitlin and her teammates and try to ignore everything else. It's tough, but I guess after enough time, maybe we can finally train ourselves to do it, or we'll get tired of it and quit watching, and they'll go back to irrelevance. There's gonna be so many documentaries done on this last year and this year, and wherever the league ends up, how it got there, whether it gets to a great place in spite of itself, or whether it ultimately sabotages itself, and failing in a literally unfailable position with Caitlin Clark. So a lot of issues there with the league. It's tough and it's frustrating, but just got to try to put that aside, forget about it, and focus on that show Caitlin just put on. So congrats to her, congrats to the Fever, and let me you guys let me know what you think. If you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm somewhere in the middle, let me know. Let me know in the comments, and look forward to interacting with some of y'all. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later.